Hello, greetings. Welcome. It is your weekly update for today, Saturday. What is it now? The 16th of March, 2019. Say hello, everybody, please. In the top left corner of your screen is my beloved and beautiful wife, Amy. Sonia and Kate from customer service are bottom left and bottom right, respectively. And we're here with a smorgasbord of your questions that have been coming in. Keep them coming to which address? Oh, you're all muted at the moment. First one to unplug the microphone and tell us the address to which people should send their questions is
hello@magfast.com.
hello@magfast.com. And just realize this is a small family team. This isn't IBM or some almost organization. We'll get back to you as quickly as we can, but please don't get in a panic if you haven't heard back in 20 minutes. All right, these beautiful people will be back to you very shortly, I promise. All right, so let's go through some of these questions. Who's got the first one?
I do. First one is from Catherine today.
Catherine.
And she asks, are there temperature restrictions? I'd like to keep one of the chargers in my potentially hot car in Houston, Texas.
Okay, so we will give full safety information. Of course, will come kind of packaged with the goods. There is a recommended provisional operating range, which I think it's 5 to 35 Celsius or centigrade. What is that in Fahrenheit, Amy? Have you got it there?
41 to 95 degrees.
Yeah, Amy's one of those math, like give her anything, it happens in her head instantly. So what was it again in Fahrenheit?
41 to 95 degrees.
Yeah, so it's basically from too cold to be comfortable to too hot to be comfortable is the kind of good operating range. It'll be safe to store at lower temperatures than that and a bit higher than that. But the truth is, you remember there's the whole thing with the grounded airlines at the moment. I don't know if you remember a few years ago that the 787 Dreamliner was grounded for a while because of problems with the batteries. So these batteries, and there was a Samsung thing a few years ago. So battery safety is a premier concern to us. We're making sure that all the batteries we get are from the top tier factories. One of the reasons the project has taken a while is because of sourcing just optimal batteries. So you don't want to be leaving a battery in a super hot place in a super hot car. It's just bad practice. You shouldn't do it with any of your equipment. And I can't, I can tell you we're going to make this stuff to the sort of highest standards kind of in the world. So it'll be as resistant to that kind of behavior as is reasonably possible, but I can't ever recommend that you do that. If you have a car that's going to be getting hot, you should take any of your sort of delicate battery-driven stuff, get it out of the way, and certainly keep it away from direct sunlight and that hot. It can get super hot under the windscreen there, can't it? So we're going to be the best spec you can be in that regard, but you're still going to be really careful with these batteries. Yeah, it's easy to become complacent because we have so many of them and the problems are so few and far between, but you should take it seriously. Okay, next.
Okay, this is also from Catherine. She asked the second question, which is, will you ever be able to charge a Fitbit?
Well, you can absolutely charge a Fitbit on any of our stuff because it's all USB and you can just plug it in. I was actually looking at Fitbit the other day. So the product that would sort of seem to lend itself to that is this. We call it MAGFAST Time. This is one of the early models here. We're making it for Apple Watch exclusively to begin with, which is the #1 wearable in the world. I appreciate if you don't, if you're not one of the people who has it, that's kind of like, so what? But we have to make choices about we're little, where do we start? And so we've chosen to go with the most popular one. We'll then kind of go down to other models from other manufacturers that are kind of next in line in terms of popularity. I was actually looking at Fitbit the other day with this question in mind. The problem with Fitbit is they've got all of these different devices and they all seem to have, like, this one charges with this little attachment, and this one charges with this little attachment, and this one plugs in, and this one has it's kind of nuts how many different charging systems they have. So I would be very reluctant to commit to Fitbit specific stuff at the moment because I think it's such a it's like they've got a good share of the market, but each of their individual products has fairly small slices. So I think that's going to be difficult. But Fitbit comes with a charger, and we're giving you USB charging, the kind of the best in the world. So just plug in. But in terms of having something that's specifically designed to exactly fit your exact model, I think that's not realistic anywhere in the near future. Okay.
Okay, we have next question from Eric.
Hey, Eric.
So in general, when do the LEDs display, and when are they off? Do they use power?
So it's a great question. Here's a model. This is a case where we made a little engineering change just within the last couple of weeks, which is interesting. So there's the LEDs along the bottom. So the answer is when the thing is not in use, there is like so close to zero power use, it's essentially zero power use. What it is doing is listening out for whether you want it to be switched, on. And you'll switch it on actually by touching a little power button just here. Okay, boom. It's not marked on here, but there'll just be a little place here. We work, and this is the change that we made. Until about 2 weeks ago, we were going to have that you tapped on the MAGFAST logo, and we were going to do 2 taps, MAGFAST, like that. We just thought, well, isn't that cool? That'll be really cool. Everyone will love it. It'll be great. MAGFAST, like that. To turn it on. And then a very experienced engineer said, well, that's great and everything. What happens when you lend it to a friend and they can't figure out how to turn it on? Because as simple as that is, it isn't obvious to someone just holding it in their hand. So we're actually just going to put a straightforward, like a regular, what's that? One of those symbols, right? You know what I'm talking about? Yes. No, not clear. Yes, clear? Yeah. So we'll put just a little symbol like that, and you'll just tap it like that. So anybody, if you lend your charger to someone, they can immediately figure out how to use it. So then we go back to the question, which is what happens when you turn it on. When you turn it on, 2 things will happen. You'll get a readout from the LEDs here. There's 10 of them, and you'll get a sort of percentage readout. So if it's 80% full, you'll get 8 of the 10 LEDs. Okay, nice and simple. Nice simple visual indicator. I will just stress to you that because of the way electronics work, if you plug it, if you load the thing up, you might get a slightly different reading from when it's unloaded. That's just the way electronics are, but it's a broad indicator of the amount that's left. Yeah, a little bit like the gas tank in your car. It gives you a broad indicator. It's not to the millimeter, and you go uphill and it changes a little bit, right? So what will happen is when you touch that, it'll turn on all of the circuits and the LEDs, and they'll stay on for, and actually I'd be kind of interested to get your feedback. How long should it stay on for? Because when it's all on, it is using a little bit of power. Not very much, but it is using a bit. So how long would you like the LEDs on for? 5 seconds? 30 seconds? All right. And how long should the circuits stay on? Because the circuits are then on waiting for you to come charge a phone, right? Or pull the cable out and charge a phone. And then if it's not used, after a while, it will switch off to preserve power. I mean, I think broadly, how long do you need for this? 10 seconds or something? Or you don't need any more than that for the LEDs. This is great. It's just great to get your feedback on it. It's just one of the questions. It's not a particularly urgent question. The programming can come much later in the process. But it was just something we were discussing in the last week. But I would think kind of 10 seconds to read that, but keep the circuits on for longer, because you go, oh, there's plenty of power. Let me go get and you go off to kind of get something to charge. So maybe keep the circuits on for 30 seconds. Just curious to have your feedback on that. hello@magfast.com with any thoughts that you have about that. All right, what else?
Okay, next question is from David.
Hey, Dave.
What can you do as a means to prevent generics hitting the market and pushing you out with cheaper products?
Yeah, it's a great question. One of the things about the charger market is that there's already millions and millions of chargers. All right, there is. I mean, those of you who have, and thank you to our investors who are with us here today, who've seen the kind of the longer business presentation, know that we've done a number of things that are kind of that we think carve out a different business space than most other folks. This is the market at the moment is full of millions and millions and millions, not millions, well, millions in quantity, but in terms of models, certainly hundreds, probably thousands of different charger models. You go to Shenzhen, where I was a couple of weeks ago, there's factories all over the place, and they all make dozens and dozens of different models. So as we said in the original presentation that you've seen, there's no point in just making more chargers. The only point in making more chargers is if they're significantly better. So the original question is about what can you do to stop other people getting it. Well, one thing is, it turns out that packing all of this into a charger is quite a bit harder than we had thought, and indeed the engineers over there had thought. We've done it, but it's a bit of a lift. But you would say, well, then they can just break yours open and see how you did it. That's true. We have a bunch of patents on the way. Patents, as many of you will know, are a bit of a lottery. I mean, if patents were that great, then why would Apple and Samsung be in a war for the last 3 years over some of their Apple and Qualcomm at the moment are in this kind of huge battle over patents. So I don't think the patents are the answer. I think the answer is to do an incredible job for you guys. So you love our stuff, you review our stuff, honestly, but you honestly find that it's 4.5 and 5 stars, and you just adore it. I think that creating a great brand is a great defense. Yes, we've got patent stuff on the way, and we've got trademark stuff. But the other piece that is difficult to understand unless you're there is that most of these chargers are just kind of thrown out on the market without any kind of identity or purpose. And MAGFAST has a very specific purpose, which is to be kind of the last chargers you'll ever need, to be to kind of fortify you, to be sort of future proof. If another tip type comes along, we'll make another tip. If charging using laser beams comes along, we'll make a laser beam unit, and it'll strap right onto the bottom. And I'm kind of I'm giving a kind of funny example there, but I'm absolutely serious about it. We're making MAGFAST at the beginning of 2 very serious waves in charging. Qi wireless charging is just really only just getting started at the moment, and USB-C is really only just getting started at the moment. Although both have been around for a few years, they're only really getting their ramp up kind of about now. So I'm kind of darting around the place. Let's go back to the original question. So we think that the way to exclude other guys is by executing better, by marketing better, by maintaining margins. Right? In general. And we had an experience with a product in the past where someone came and copied it very quickly, but hadn't understood about the kind of the marketing formula and the margin formula, and they dropped out incredibly quickly. So there's no ultimate defense. Other people will come in if we're doing our job properly. We can fend off counterfeits fairly effectively now in terms of the main platform through which counterfeits would have been offered, which is Amazon, because I've told you before about the transparency program, where basically every single product, every box will have an individual certification that it is authentic, from a kind of, I'm not going to stop and talk about it all now, but basically a very detailed serial number system, which is incredibly difficult to hack, and Amazon won't even stock. First of all, they won't allow anyone else to use our name, because our brand name is protected on Amazon. And they also won't stock any non-authentic MAGFAST products. So that wasn't specifically in the question, but it's an important piece, because plastic and electronics are actually fairly cheap. Cheap copies are easy to make. High quality copies would be very difficult to make. Okay, that's probably enough blah blah on that for now. Let's go to the next question.
Okay, we're done with the questions. Now we have some fan mail.
Okay.
From Linda. She sent in a long and enthusiastic email. We were really excited to read it as much as she was probably excited to write it. But this is just a short excerpt from that email. And she says, I just wanted to say thank you for putting in such intense effort, so many sleepless nights, crazy long flights to foreign locations to ensure these products are manufactured to the highest possible standards, using top minds and skilled folks in this industry so the end consumers feel confident that what we are paying for will be worth every penny. So thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. That's very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. And if you feel that way, then you can write to us too. But seriously, your mail is always appreciated, no matter what it is. If you're loving something we're doing, we want to hear about it. If you're not so sure, we want to hear about it. And our I was actually speaking with a gentleman yesterday who had this kind of bizarre. I have a little bit of evidence in the last 24 hours that just to give you a little window into the kind of nonsense we have to deal with day to day. So when we send you email, we send it from, essentially, to describe it in shorthand, like certified servers. So we have to prove to the places we send email out of our what's it called? Receipt system. When someone makes a purchase, emails are sent, and then we also send them these weekly updates come from a system. And in both cases, we have to certify to those people that we are indeed MAGFAST. We own MAGFAST.com. We're the real deal, and they can then put information, sort of hidden information, in the emails as they go out, so that the servers at your end, at the receiving end, at Gmail or wherever you get your email from, so that they know that the emails are genuine. But there's someone out in the middle of Europe who sent out a batch of email using our name without any of that. It's generally being stopped by spam filters. But I was talking to a guy yesterday who got some kind of crazy email from us. He hadn't received an email, but he had a kind of related security concern. And I was saying to him, all we're about is making sure you're happy. That's it. There's no other purpose for us. And Amy has another purpose for us. What is it, darling?
I wanted to say that some people write into us after we've written them multiple responses to their inquiries that they're upset they haven't received our emails, and that is likely the reason why they're that they're not seeing.
Yeah, can I just say
and oftentimes we'll even go to another email address to send them duplicate mail.
We do everything that we can, but it is still the internet. And like here, look, right now in the room, you've got the 3 people who reply to your email. Do you ever, listen to me, all 3 of you, do you ever not reply to email when it comes in? Ever? Do you ever look at an email and go, we're not replying to that? Ever?
No.
Right, we reply to absolutely everything. So please trust us that we're doing that. Check your spam folders and this, that, and the other. And we have a phone number, all right, which generally goes to voicemail because of the way that we operate, but we pick them up right away, and just say, hey, I've written to you several times. Can you check it out, or can you call me back? And we'll call you back. We're completely dedicated to this. So please, as it's a small proportion of people, but a small proportion of people have a default, which is that we're not answering. We always answer. So please assume that we are, and we are. hello@magfast.com. hello@magfast.com. 863 MAGFAST. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and we'll see you at the same time next week.